Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs and Treaty. Minister, given the overwhelming evidence that where Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and communities are empowered to lead in decision-making, in service design and in implementation, that life-changing outcomes improve, will you follow the lead from the newly elected South Australian Labor government and establish a First Nations voice to the New South Wales Parliament?
I'll call the Minister.
And I thank the member for Ballina for her question. And can I also acknowledge Gillian Skinner, who's a big supporter of medical research, even after leaving her role as Minister. It's a really important question. The quick answer is we're not currently considering what they've done in South Australia in terms of a voice, but we are implementing a range of strategies to give Aboriginal people in New South Wales a voice at the table in terms of decision making, and we're doing that through, following on from the former government's work, through the Coalition of Aboriginal Peak Organisations and Closing the Gap. Now, we're really proud of the work we've done over the past 3 years in partnership with Aboriginal people in New South Wales. We've been able to put in place a whole range of initiatives which gives Aboriginal people and Aboriginal controlled organisations a voice at the decision-making table. One of the really important parts of that is the regular ministerial capo meetings that take place. I know all my colleagues look forward to their meetings with the Coalition of Aboriginal Peaks. And I have to say, those meetings are becoming more and more frank and honest, and there is an amazing exchange of ideas and thoughts. And that can be challenging, and that's the way it should be. I said to the Coalition of Aboriginal Peaks a few weeks ago that in any partnership or family, there will be times when people don't always agree with each other, but that's part of how you work through issues and you get better solutions. I know those opposite, they often have issues when it comes to partnership, so hopefully they can fix their partnership issues the same way we've been fixing our partnership issues with Aboriginal people. But the second part, which is absolutely essential, is that Aboriginal peak organisations are now jointly working with government departments to put together budget submissions that have gone through ERC and Treasury and funded directly ACOs. And I'm really proud to say that in last year's budget, for the first time, the first of those plans went in, and we have funded $202 million over 4 years, including $21.9 million to support infant and maternal health in first 2,000 days. Minister Park has been a big part of that. $23.1 million for funding to 25 Aboriginal health organisations to deliver mental health programs. $12.1 million to expand the Aboriginal Employment Strategy pilot, and $19.1 million to improve education and economic outcomes for Aboriginal children and families.
Yes, Minister. Just member for Ballina.
Seek an extension.
Yes, an additional 2 minutes is granted, Minister.
Thank you, and I thank the member for Ballina. Now, this year's budget, there is a further submission to enhance some of those programs and include some new programs, and it's been a really good process of people sitting around at the decision-making table and actually prioritising those things. Now, at the same time, we have our treaty commissioners moving around the state talking to communities about whether or not there should be a treaty with the New South Wales people in New South Wales. Those talks are continuing, and we realise that even after Closing the Gap time finishes, that we need to be looking at what comes next, where we go to make sure that the excellent relationships that have been developed with Aboriginal peaks in particular is continued past that 10-year framework. So we'll continue to work through all of the issues that are being raised in terms of Aboriginal communities. And I have to say, go back to what I said earlier, that those discussions can sometimes be really hard. And I know that Minister Washington particularly has been at the forefront of some really, really difficult conversations to get better outcomes for Aboriginal kids in this state. And it just goes to show that the commitment from this side of the House towards addressing some of those really, really difficult programs. And we also have other issues, such as when the Minister for Women, Minister Harrison, rolled out a fantastic program through Chlorine Cluster, the money actually was allocated, but then actually trying to find the sites in some of these communities was a difficult thing. So having the Aboriginal groups sitting at the table with us, working through those problems, having them understand it, gives them a really good voice in government in New South Wales.
Thank you, Minister.